Sergeant Lawrence Bromer, United States Army, Vietnam. Sergeant Bromer served in Vietnam from 1966 to 1967. He was promoted to sergeant while during his service. He served with the 25th Infantry Division, 3rd Brigade, radio operator, and he did other things too in Vietnam. But he tells a great story of what happened to him as a young man and the things that he went through. And he gives another piece of the puzzle, as it were, folks. All these different stories telling the same overall story, just different perspectives and vantage points. And Sergeant Bromer did a great job. I met him in Florida. It was February 21st, 2007, Sunrise, Florida. We had a great time there, and Lawrence, I believe, is going strong with us today. We email every once in a while, so I'm glad that he's featured here today on Voice of History YouTube channel. I want to thank John Nguyen. John is one of my patriots from Vietnam. He supports our veterans, loves our Vietnam veterans with a passion that I've never seen in somebody because of what he went through as a young boy and what he saw and experienced, and so much gratitude he has. And he's done well for himself as he's worked in this country, and also even served in law enforcement. So, but John, thank you for supporting my work and for sponsoring Lawrence's story today and helping others to learn more about Vietnam. God bless you, John. I love you, brother. Folks, if you'd like to sponsor a story, there's information in the video description and on my website, larrycapetto.com. Click on Sponsor a Vet and include the name of the veteran that you would like to sponsor. I'll do the rest. If you'd like to donate to this work, there's information in the video, in the comment section of this video, and you can do that. So I would encourage you to get involved with this work, folks. It's a labor of love. Contained and embedded in these stories is why we've had the freedoms all these years. You know, we've given up some of the freedoms in the last 3 years, but we're going to get them back, and we're fighting for our veterans right now. We're fighting for them. So if you want to become a part of this, I would greatly encourage you to do so. It's a feel-good project. Want to continue to plug Voice in History Radio 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. There's information on my website. It's being streamed on my website live and also through the apps, through the Apple and the Google Play stores. Download the apps for free, Voices of History Radio. Folks, thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing to this channel. Let's keep this thing going. God bless you. You were in Vietnam again?
November 66 to November 67.
And your rank at the time?
When I went over, I was an E1 private.
Okay, so you were a rifleman?
Right.
Give me the company, division, regiment.
25th Infantry Division, 3rd Brigade. I became a sergeant probably in about 8 months after being in country. So I made rank pretty fast.
So you were 20 years old then when you went in?
20 years. Born June 1st, 46, and went over November of 66. I'd be right at 20.
Were you drafted or did you enlist?
Got old drafted.
Okay.
Got a raise the same day I got drafted.
When you,
Really?
When you were in boot camp, basic training, what were your thoughts? Were you thinking about going to Vietnam, or what were you thinking?
My first thoughts of being in being in Fort Jackson, South Carolina, my home state, I didn't. I thought about maybe going to Nam, but I thought that I probably wouldn't end up being an infantryman because I thought I had, I had typing skills, more of a clerical background through high school, so I figured, well, I'll probably get out of that end of it. So after finishing boot camp, I went to Fort Polk, Louisiana. Once you go there, normally if you're in the infantry, they kind of tell you, up front that you eventually will end up in Nam. And the strip kept going, and I ended up in Nam. But you also have a shot once you get in country in Nam of your MOS being changed. All of a sudden, if you're a rifleman, you could become a cook, clerk type, whatever. But my strip just went infantry all the way. So that didn't have, obviously a little afraid of it. I'm 20 years old. So, but when I got drafted, I had no regret that I was drafted because I felt that it was my duty more than anything else. That just, your country, they call you, you go. If I'd have had the money, I probably still would have gone in anyway, because my job, which sold electronic components to military companies, that I could have probably wiggled away to get out of not going in the military at all. But I didn't want that. My dad was in the military, my brother was in the military, so it's something I said, hey, I got to do it, I got to do it. I was 20 years old, married, with my first child was born December 1st, 66, and I left in mid-November 66. So I didn't see her till November of 67. She was about a year, not quite a year old, for the first time.
What do you remember about the first time you went in country? What it felt like? You got off the plane? What it smelled like?
Well, flying in, we flew into Saigon. That was a little scary at that point because it was a lot of glare in the air, or in the sky, and actually it was lightning, and I didn't think it was lightning. I thought it was actually artillery rounds or something going off, so it was kind of weird then. Your stomach got a little tough, so say, where am I going, Lord, and flew in there, and they get you to that, what would you call it, a staging area, where I said, like, they make the decision where you're going to go, what company you're going to be with. And I first went to my company. That particular company just got hit bad like a couple of days prior to that. And really kind of like got to me because he brought out helmets with bullet holes in them like that. So, again, 20, what the hell am I into here, and go like, oh well, So you start praying and say, the Lord, get me through this. And my whole outlook at that point was I have a wife and I have a kid. Well, I didn't have a kid yet, but I have a wife. And I felt that I had something to go back home to. And I think a lot of kids went over, didn't have anything to come back. I really didn't care. So you really let your guard down when you don't have any family or friends to come back to that, that think loves you, You get guys that get Dear John letters in Vietnam. I mean, that's kind of painful, And one guy got a Dear John letter and he got killed the next day, and going like, why would some young lady do that? The guy's in a bad situation anyway, but he literally got blown away the next day after receiving a Dear John letter. You go ahead.
No, that's amazing to hear that. I haven't heard that before, but I'm sure that happened.
Yeah.
Let's just, I want to know a little bit about, the combat over there and going into on patrols or whatever. Were you like in a platoon or a company or what?
Platoon.
Okay. Tell me about engaging the enemy the first time, and did you feel invincible, like nothing had happened to you? And then tell me about your baptism under fire.
Well, the first encounter with death or being real frightening would have been probably in country maybe 3 weeks approximately. I was out on a listening post, myself and 3 other guys, and about 3 o'clock in the morning, I just heard like 20 rounds went off. And obviously here you are, 500 meters away from your platoon or company. I don't know if it was a whole company or platoon at that time. So you're actually out there by yourself. You don't know what happened. It's 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning. You can't move because you don't know if it was Charlie that set something off or something happened in the base. So you literally just sit there for 4 hours worrying about what the hell happened. And you can't try to go back into your line that time of morning because you'll probably get shot. And it turns out the young kid, one kid walked out of the perimeter and was sleepwalking, and his partner wasted him. Hit him with about 20 rounds. One round hit him in the heart. That was my very first encounter of what could happen to you over there. It was by friendly fire. Then approximately January of 67, we were on patrol. At that time, I was a radio operator. I was humping the radio. And we made contact with the enemy. And obviously, everything goes, your whole heart starts beating at a high rate. We made contact, and obviously we had to call it back into battalion. We made contact. We're located here. And battalion decided that he was in a base, say, 12 miles away, but Colonel, I believe, got up in a chopper, says, okay, well, we're going to give you guys some support. We had a mortar support, which was in our little base area, which wasn't that far, which I think could have really helped us if we utilized them. But the Colonel wanted to bring in the big stuff, the 155s, and we got on line to move out, to try to find what the enemy that was spotted. And as we got on line to move out, that's when heard one round come in, and next thing it just got silent, and then all of a sudden here comes another one, and it hit right on our line. And 2 guys, I think one was 19, maybe one was 20. It's in here too. It literally just hit one arm. One guy arm was like hanging on by, or hand was hanging on by about that much skin. The one kid died first, and after he died, I think the other one like really literally went into shock. So again, I'm on the radio, so I'm trying to make contact with battalion, and I think we lost contact with one of the other platoons. So I literally had to beat the bush trying to make physical hand contact with the other team. So we finally got a hold of medevac to come pick the bodies up, but we had to carry them out of the boonies for probably about 400 or 500 meters because we were in areas that with the foliage you couldn't get in, and we had to take the shirts off our back to make a sling to carry the bodies. And that one again hurt because it was friendly fire, and you kick yourself and say, oh my God, why did they have to do that? If this guy wouldn't have called that in, maybe these 2 guys would have made it. Later that evening, after we got back to our little fire base, I lost my cross somewhere in that activity that afternoon, and I wasn't that religious, but I had a cross, and all of a sudden now you become religious. And one of my aunts from South Carolina sent it to me, but then I reached up that night and it was gone. And I'm going, oh my Lord, you're going, am I next type thing, So I got through that. It's like I said, the effect of watching 2 guys just go, and in May of '67, I got shot about 3 o'clock in the morning. Okay, I wasn't on duty that night or on the perimeter. I was inside the perimeter, and Charlie decided that he would just throw a few rounds up, see what happens, see if anyone's going to fire back, and didn't have to fire back. One caught me right in my left foot, straight through my left foot, and I'm laying on an air mattress. One hit me in my foot, one hit my air mattress, and one hit my platoon sergeant's air mattress, who was lying right by me. And it just felt like someone took a fist and pop you. And that was about 3 in the morning. But prior to going on the hill, we went up that night the wagon wheel, if you know that terminology. We higher elevation. And on our way up the hill that evening, we came across, we had hot chow, and we came across an old lady, and she probably had to be 80 years old or so, and somehow she got wasted. Okay, I don't know how or what, but she got wasted. Obviously, we wasted her. But back to the 3 a.m., medic gave me morphine, and medevac came to get me about daylight, 6, 7 o'clock in the morning. And as the chopper came in, and I got about ceiling level here and hovering over, that's when all hell broke loose. Charlie had an ambush set up waiting for us to come down off the hill. And when we came down, all hell broke loose. I had one boot on my shoulder, and I happened to fall right next to the old lady that we killed. So death is definitely on your mind then. I mean, you're running and say, oh my God, I'm by the old lady, you know, am I going next? And then you look up and you see one kid jumped up, and he caught about 6 or 7 rounds right here, just tore all this out, and tongue's hanging out. And I think the only thing that saved him was that we had a chaplain with us that day, and the chaplain jumped up and grabbed him and pulled him down, and probably saved his life. And so instead of the chopper coming in to get me, here goes more people, okay? The toughest part about that is that the guy, a sergeant who would have had 2 years in Nam in July of '67, and this was May of '67, I would have been on point that morning. Me getting shot at 3 a.m., he took my place on point. And when all hell broke loose, he got right in front of a hedgerow, and a couple of feet probably in front of the hedgerow, Charlie just jumped up and just, so here I'm saying, you know, if it wasn't, you know, I feel the guilt factor there that if he died, probably gave his life for me. I mean, because I would have been in that position, and chances are I would have gotten killed. So the chopper came in instead of just me. I think about 4 or 5 other guys got wounded real bad and went to, I guess it's Quinyon. And I saw the guy a couple of days later, and his tongue was still hanging out about an inch out of his mouth, but they really did a hell of a job of pushing everything up and made it through that one. But that's probably the one that hurt more than anything else, just to know that someone else took your place or had to be in that position because I got shot, you know.
So did you get in any major skirmishes, or were they just kind of sporadic fire, or was it any offensive actions in Vietnam, or were you in there? I mean, what else can you tell me?
Yeah, well, let's see. That's and another one other one that really got to me because I taught the kid how to use the radio, and he while I was out in the hospital, he got killed, and by a Claymore mine. And again, the guilt factor came in because if I would have been out there, I would have probably been on the radio. Okay, yeah, we had major contacts at some points where we got ambushed by them, and all you can do is duck and fight back. Hopefully, if the M16, which was a piece of garbage, wouldn't jam on you, because historically it would jam. You could clean it all night, but tomorrow morning you don't know. Just the total environment of the way you had to live, sleeping, and you're wet. It starts raining at 4 o'clock. You get wet, so you're wet all night. Then you dry off all day, and then at night it rains again, and you have the leeches and all that good stuff on you. And the only thing you could get a leech off right then was mosquito repellent. They would pop off you without pulling your skin. But like I said, we had several major contacts where I saw a lot of guys get wasted, and some I don't remember. I just remember the contacts and the heartaches that happened, and being afraid. No doubt about it. I was afraid. A lot of kids survived off of pot, because pot was like buying a pack of cigarettes. Pot and sex was like buying a pack of cigarettes. When I became a platoon leader, I told the kids under me, I said, look, I know you might want to smoke that stuff, but don't smoke it when you're in the field. When you get back in the boonies, if you want to, out of the boonies in rear camp, do whatever you want. But I tried to explain to them that you're jeopardizing other folks' lives too, my life, okay? Because I told them up front, I said, I don't care what you say, it makes you react differently. You become a different person. So I had a great squad. They listened, and some of them were older than I, but they still listened, and thank God for that. I didn't have a couple of hard heads, but if you know how to work with people, you got to make people love you and understand you, or actually you have to know how to tell them to go to hell, and at the same time make them love you. It's called tact. A lot of people don't know how to do that. But like I said, it was quite an experience. And again, my focus then was, hey, I have a wife and a kid. I got to get back home. I got to see my daughter. So you start keeping your head up, or you're on guard a little bit more, and then you get close to getting out of there, and you try to think of ideas. What can you do to get out of the field? Because after I got shot, and I was in Cameron Bay, and Cameron Bay is water on 3 sides, and I think they had a Gook battalion on the other. So nothing could touch Cameron Bay. And they put you through the classes, the level, the better you get moved classes. And I got to class 3, or vice versa, whichever way they had it running. I got to class 3, and they wanted me to do KP at 4 o'clock in the morning. And I said, no. And well, we still do sandbags. I said, nope. I said, because here I am in Cameron Bay, you're protected. This is a resort area, basically, is what it was. And I said, send me back to my company. I want to get the hell out of here. So they fulfilled my request. They sent me back to my company. And first time I made formation, they said, you have KP tomorrow morning. I said, no, thank you. Get me back to the field. So I went back to the field, and I think there somewhere maybe 10, 15 days in a row I got shot at every day. Every day. And I had one instance where we were going across a rice paddy, and this kid, one guy was probably 6'3", 250, big guy, and he got hit somewhere right in here, and we called that a go home wound. But he was crying like a baby. He was literally scared. Another kid that I was right in front of, he got shot in the stomach. And I swear to God, I believe I got down faster than him. I just believe that. I'm saying I'm right in front of him. I didn't get it, he did. you know, and then you watch some of the stuff that nobody likes to talk about. War is hell, and those innocent people do get zapped over there. And it's in certain situations where you get in a situation of a sniper haunting you for 3 or 4 days, then you become desperate. So anything that walks in black pajamas, you're probably going to waste it because you don't know who it is. But I had one instance, and they literally walked an old guy out on a dike, and just one kid let him out there because he couldn't see. I mean, he was probably 80 years old. I guarantee you the guy couldn't see that far in front of his face. And one kid walked him out, let him out, and walked back. The other kid with the machine gun just wasted him for no reason at all. So, when I heard the Cali stories and stuff like that, sometimes you can relate to it because you don't know what situations they were in prior to that. Like I said, if you get shot at for 3 days in a row, if anything that moves across this little hole here is going to get shot, and you don't know where it's coming from. I mean, you haven't the slightest idea. One guy gets shot, medic goes to help him, medic gets shot, boom, okay? And I think but we never caught anybody. And that's what I think happened to the old man. That became out of frustration. So we had to do something, okay, to make up for all the people that we got shot at. So they shot the old man. And I've been in there where they dropped that napalm in front of you about 50 feet, and all you can do is put your head down and pray. Willie Peter, like old white phosphorus, when those damn jets come in and drop it, it's really, it's a wake-up call. And if you know how to pray, you know how to pray then. So the closer I got to getting out of country, I started getting toothaches because I saw too many kids, like the guy I was telling you about that got wounded here. I think he had 8 days in country. I think he rotated 7 days prior to coming, you go back in. And the 8th day, he was going to be rotating the next day, going back in to come home. And he got, boom, okay? So those are some of my experiences over there.
Well, as a squad leader, tell me about losing men. I mean, it
hurts. It hurts because you lose someone, and you literally, it doesn't hit you until after the fact, after the battle is over. A lot of times you're not afraid when it starts to happen. It's just afterwards, then you sit down and you have to come down to the real world and say, oh my God, that could have been me. Now you have to talk to the other young kids that, hey guys, we got to hang in there, and just keep watching each other back. So it's a period of just getting tired. We had probably some of the worst intelligence that we think the Iraq intelligence was bad. Some of the intelligence in Vietnam, when they send you up 1,000 feet on a hill and nobody's been there for 6 years. I mean, because they say, oh, we saw 1,000 of Goop Battalion up there. Nobody, literally some of those hills you had to cut your way through. But the tired factor, you're on guard every night. So it got so bad at one point, we had a German Shepherd with us. And I can't remember his name, but hey guy, you take over tonight, we're tired. And God got us through that though, But being a squad leader wasn't easy because a lot of kids were maybe a little jealous too because I made rank so fast. Okay, and that has a lot to do with how you deal with, how did he get there, but like I said, generally I didn't have any problem with the squad I had, God bless. They were a good group of kids, but what happens there is your rotation factor. It's like every other week, every 2 weeks, you may encounter a new personality because you never usually, when we went into NAM, you usually didn't go over as a company. or as a battalion. You went over basically separately and on individual, so you didn't have a buddy that you went to basic training with, right? Or AIT. They may be in the first cav. After you leave your advanced infantry, you don't know where people go. And I was telling a young lady out there, I haven't seen one guy when I was in Vietnam with since I've been back. Not one guy. And the only ones I know now is I'll pull up on the internet, because I love to go to the memorial, Vietnam Memorial, and I'll pull it up, and that's why I got most of the data that I wrote that, because I couldn't remember the names. So I had to just really give it some thought.
Sure.
And it took a lot of time because your memory goes, but with the help of that computer, it helped me really go back and research. When the two guys got killed, I could not remember their names. And one day, out of the blue, it just hit me. And then once I got him and I started playing with dates who got killed on that same day, I found the other kid. I matched him up by the unit, the company, age, right? And Caucasian, but like I say, hey.
Lawrence, tell me about the helicopters in Vietnam, the role of the Huey helicopter. Were you on those at all?
Yes, that's a lot of times they would take us in and drop us. And certain times they would, the majority of the time, it was obviously bringing you food in. And some missions we did go out if we were going so many clicks away from where fire base was. In some cases, I probably jumped down in grass or weed. I got what's the right terminology to use, but you jump down, that chopper's hovering there, and you think you only got a 4-foot drop, and you're dropping stuff that's, you look up, my God, it's still 6 more feet above you. So that's kind of scary. You don't know what they're dropping you into. Obviously, when they drop you, Charlie know you're coming. But again, a lot of those missions, like I said, intelligence, we went, didn't find a thing. No sign of life. We have encountered hospitals and stuff like that under the ground. I have done some tunnel rat work because of my size. Smaller you are, the more they pick on you. So I've gone in a few holes, which is not too comfortable. We've also thrown a lot of grenades. Obviously, we threw grenades in holes that you don't know if anybody was in it or not. And again, like I said, I know war is hell, so friendly people are going to die, and that's part of it. But sometimes you don't have to. But the choppers it was quite, when you go out and it was like 8, 9, 10 choppers, and they get to a certain area and they hover, you got to get out. You jumping out of there, and they're gone. And sometimes they will come back and pick you up from that mission, or depending how far they took you, you may have to work your way back to your fire zone, to your LZ. But that was fun. I had a couple of pictures of me. Somebody took one. I don't know how the hell he did it. I think I was right at the door on the helicopter jumping.
You got them with you?
I don't have. I had a pack of pictures, about 12, 15 of them. I was carrying around about a year ago in my car, because there were certain people I wanted to show them to. I had all my grenades, everything on, belt. And I don't know what I did with the envelope. So it's at home. I'm pretty sure it's there. But I would show it to people and try to explain to them what it was like over there, and why you have some kids that come back now and they're still really screwed up. We came back, there was no hero's welcome. There was nothing. I flew into Seattle, Washington, and I took as a matter of fact, I touched on it yesterday, and I said, because I don't know, for some reason that I felt that once we got on the airplane coming back home, segregation set right back in again. And that's being honest and open with you. Because now you're on the plane, And everybody's sitting in their little groups now. And to me, that kind of hurt because, hey, guys, you know, we just got through this shit together. You know, maybe we were running the same unit, but you're basically, some of you are doing the same thing. So now's the time that you should get closer. But it's like it just completely just went boom. I mean, on the airplane, you could feel it. So you get to Seattle, Washington, and you got 300 guys on this one plane. One guy's going to gate C, one guy's going this gate, one guy's Delta, American, whatever. Everybody goes in their own direction. And I left Seattle, flew to Brooklyn, or flew to New York, like Kennedy, and I took a cab home. And that's when I put my bags down for a 30-day leave, and but have never ran into one, never talked to one since I've been home. I eventually, maybe through the internet, I will, because I'm getting a couple of strange encounters now with people that's reading the information. I'll go on the wall and I'll write a note and I'll give them my cell number, home number, and my email address. And I got one probably on the 1st of December that knew, as a lieutenant that was 19 years old. He was in country maybe 40 days, just got married before he came to Nam from South Carolina. And the guy sent me an email and says, well, this guy, we grew up together and we're very close friends, and can you tell me how he died? Okay. And so I don't know, I was having problems with my computer that I forwarded to my daughter and said, respond to this for me and tell this guy, you know, blah, blah. And the guy responded back to my daughter saying, you know, thank you very much. And matter of fact, I scanned the picture and sent it to him. Me and this guy had the picture, me and the guy together. He's about my size, you know. And he was a second lieutenant. And I sent that to him, but I haven't heard anything from him. He hasn't called me. He put a mail in the email, note in the email, well, I probably won't be able to talk to you for about 2 weeks because I have to digest all that. But after I sent him the picture and everything, I haven't heard one word. And I got a similar email from the same guy, another one of his friends. And one of the guys, believe it or not, married the kid that got killed, married his wife. Yeah, that was bizarre. But this is just happening out of the blue. And I did get a chance to talk to the guy that had the 2-year span over there. I got a chance to speak to his mom about 4 years ago because one of his friends saw it on the wall, and he sent me an email, and I asked for his mother's phone number, and he forwarded me, and I called her, and she was like, you know, and I told her the story, you know, and I wanted to be honest with her. And I'm pretty sure she appreciated it. She used to send us care packages, popcorn and Vienna sausages. And after he died, she continued to do it. And we would literally pop popcorn out in the field because you don't care. I mean, and when you get your little R&R, you get your 6 days or 7 days, you go to Japan, you blow money because you don't know if you're going to make it back home, you see. So, and I was smart. I bought some silverware and my wife a watch or something, you know, but I didn't blow it all. But it's just still now, I still have nightmares about it. I still wake up in cold sweats because like I said, I feel a lot of guilt with a couple of those kids that I saw die, and one that took my place, the sergeant, and those are the things that really hurt you, you know, and knowing that it's nothing I could do about it, but it hurts like hell. And was Vietnam a mistake? I don't know. I don't look at it that way. I was given a duty to do, and I'll do that. You know, is Iraq a mistake? I don't know. I honestly can't say because I don't know all the deal. But I know if I was in the military, if they said I had to go, I got to go. Okay. What I think a lot of times too, unfortunately, there's too much media in Iraq, okay? And that's not being cold-hearted, but it's the truth. There's a lot of things you can't do because if I have a cameraman watching over me, what are you gonna do? I mean, certain things you can't do. And atrocities, yeah. But when you don't have that, you more have a freedom. And sometimes, like I said, war is hell. So innocent people are going to get killed. And you're fighting in a country like Vietnam, for instance, everybody look alike. How could you tell a Viet Cong versus an average person? If all of them have on black pajamas, they all look the same. So how would you really know? So yeah, a lot of innocent people did get killed, unfortunately. But you would have kids that would blow you away. You'd have females that would blow you away. You know, I mean, you'd have females with razors hooked on parts of their body that you had no thought where they were. And you had guys, when you even made contact and you get one on the ground, you cannot take the risk as long as you see there's breath coming out of his body. You cannot take the risk to even move him. So basically, you got to waste the job. Some of those guys was high as hell. You know, they were on some, and some just refused to die. And you could shoot, shoot, and shoot, and shoot. And the guy still, boom. I don't know, reflexes maybe, but you don't know what he has underneath him. A lot of time they were taught to go down. When they go down, they take a grenade and they pull it. So if you pull the body over, boom. We didn't have no reason to pull him over. We just wanted to make sure he was dead. And
so there was a lot of uncertainty, and that probably added to the stress of your work.
Sure, you didn't know. I mean, you like I said, you could find a 5-year-old kid, you know, and he's trying to tell you, you know, you want a boom boom, obviously. Well, but you don't know if he's setting you up or not. And you had some guys, some American kids didn't care. They would just go and take the chance that it would be, they'd actually leave their base at night and go into town. I mean, go into the little villages, and to me, that's not too smart. But some of them did it, all for, you know. And, but like I said, like you said, the uncertainty is definitely there because you don't know. It could be an 80-year-old lady, could be a 90-year-old man, could be a 3-year-old kid. And it could be a very good-looking young lady that you think you've fallen in love with that will get you wasted.
You refer to the women with razor blades and the parts of their body. I mean, what was the purpose of that? I mean, men...
To mess you up, they would some of them actually put it in their vagina.
Yeah, but would they have sex with them or what? I mean,
yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Well, sex then was like probably about $5. Yeah. Okay, so there was actually waiting lines. I mean, here's a line waiting for this one chick. And we used to kid around and said, well, next time we go around, the price is up to $7 because a new battalion came in town or something, you know. But it was so convenient, and then I think that's a lot of the diseases that happen, is that we didn't have, you know, you didn't know, and some kids got a hold of some stuff over there that, I don't know if you've ever heard about it, but and I never really tried to dig into it, that they sent a lot of them over to Guam or some island just to die because they had something that turned them, body just turned black from whatever it was. And who was it? Jane, I remember, I think Jane Fonda was over one time, and I didn't make the concert because I had guard duty, but they got a hold of some bad beer, some guys, and literally that messed them up. So you had to watch what you drank. I mean, but obviously you saw a can of beer. You know, I drunk hot beer now because I had to do it now. That's all you did was put it in the creek and let it chill down a little bit. But that's how I learned to drink hot beer.
You know, you mentioned something interesting. A gentleman in Virginia last week told me about the island. He said, nobody's talked about the island, and you just mentioned the island.
That may be what, you know, relating to, you know, about the illness, the sickness.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, and...
someplace they'd send you.
Yeah, and like I said, I never did any more I've heard about it, okay? And I heard about it while I was in the military, that it was so bad that you wouldn't come home. They would just send you over there.
Were these people that had a venereal disease or what?
Something in that nature, yeah. Mm-hmm.
They just disappeared or
They
died?
disappeared, but they probably ended up on that list of missing in action, type, or your body wasn't recovered, that type of thing. But no, it was very strange, and I've seen guys with their called elephanitis, with their testicles as big as that camera lens. I mean, literally hanging down here, okay? But yet, and matter of fact, I felt so sorry for the guy. We had a platoon sergeant to make the guy go out on patrol. Yeah, and he could barely walk. And I'm going like, what do you want from the kid, But a lot of platoon sergeants, a lot of lieutenants, a lot of them came back with bullet holes in their back, in their head, because of dislike and distrust. Because you got to, again, you take a 19-year-old kid that's a lieutenant. He doesn't know anything about war. He just got out of ROTC. How can he lead a company or a platoon when he just got out of school, right? Oh, come over, he's a lieutenant. The one kid in my note there, 19, when I said 19 and got married together, guy married his wife, 19 years old. He wore his silver bar, or gold bar, because he was a second lieutenant. He wore his bar up there in the boondocks. So what are you doing? Here I am, Charlie. Guess what? Charlie picked him off. One round, hit him about right here. And he went in a shot. But he was one that carried a shotgun. And I don't know if I was a radio operator maybe for a while. And that was kind of frightening too, because anytime they saw a radio, they know it was an officer around. So you became more of a target than the average GI. And I've been the radio operator for the entire company at times. Obviously, my voice got me there. Yeah. So because I could understand it, and I picked up the lingo quite fast. But the radio was a lot of fun. I enjoyed doing it. I always wanted to become a broadcaster.
Well, what kind of call signs would you say? Do you identify yourself, or what would you say on the radio?
Baker 1, this is Bravo 2, right? And that type of stuff, yeah. Bravo 2, Alpha 1.
A question before I forget. You mentioned napalm. Tell me what napalm was and what it was used for.
Napalm is what they call white phosphorus, okay? And it will burn the hell out of you, okay? It's if you're in an area, and let's say it's a wooded area, and like I said, we were getting sniper action in that area and couldn't get anything out of it, so they called the jets in, and they go in, and it will set that place on fire, basically. And then sometimes they will come in with the good hard stuff, the shrapnel, but the white phosphorus, it spreads out. Shrapnel gonna be in hunks.
What about Agent Orange? You know anything about Agent Orange?
Yeah.
What it was and what it was used for?
Agent Orange was some sort of chemical that in certain areas that they released in Vietnam in the 65, 66, 67 time frame in certain areas of Vietnam. And it's certain, I guess, I don't know what the effect is on the body. I know I was tested for it when I originally found out about it, and that was in 2000 or 2001. I did the Agent Orange test. I did not, supposedly did not have it. How the hell will they figure out I didn't have it? I don't know. They basically did a complete physical workup on you, the blood work and all that stuff. They said I didn't have it because I got into that with a guy out of the disease center, unidentified diseases. He's out of New Jersey. He's a doctor. And I did a survey with him a month ago about different things that you could have gotten in Vietnam. Because I said, well, one of my concerns is that if you leave a corpse for 5-6 days, it just starts deteriorating, okay? And I says, well, what happens if you walking by that corpse like every day? 5, 6 days and just watch this guy just waste away. I says, can you get anything from that? And he said, no, well, he looked up and it took him about a month and a half to come back with a complete report of all the things that I asked, because I was concerned about that. I was concerned that my son came back from, what's the first, Desert Storm? He came back and all of a sudden he got diagnosed with MS. Okay? So I'm saying, well, is there any tie-in with me being in Vietnam to MS? I don't know. So they said they did some studies, but certain studies they haven't done enough of to really give you an accuracy. It's like, 1 out of 2 people maybe, or 1 out of 1,000,000, 1,000, whatever. But he did a thorough job of the data he had to work with. Well, like I said, Agent Orange, supposedly I don't have it. I've been diagnosed more so with the PTSD. Sometimes my memory, I get a little, some days I can remember everything I want to. The next day I just shut out. I have a problem being around a crowd of people. I have a problem sitting with my back to the door. That's still that fright factor of somebody walking up behind you. I get the new hearing aids, so these are designed where they want you to sit, they want the noise behind you. So they don't want me sitting there facing them, they want me sitting in this direction. And I don't feel that comfortable with it, going to restaurants, because I will tell my wife, no, I'm going to sit there, you sit there. If I came in here, I'm going to sit there and you sit there. But, you still have that. You have it when you still have the fright or the fear of a loud noise. If you hear something sound like a gunshot, you're going to flinch. In some cases, you may hit the ground. I've literally hit the ground since I've been in the States when I had a car backfire, because that's just your reflexes. But like I said, most of mine is PTSD. I had bilateral hearing loss in both ears, or bilateral is 2. And they rated me totally up to 70%. They gave me 50% for PTSD and 20 for my hearing. The reason they increased my hearing, because it was a guy that challenged them, because they used the word bilateral. So when you pay me for bilateral, you're supposed to be paying me 10% for this ear, 10% for that ear. So someone caught them on it, and they went to the court and all that stuff. They won it. So that case is now recognized, and a lot of guys, because I was only getting 10% for my hearing, so now they gave me 20. But they have some funny math, and maybe you can refer how they do it. I don't know how they do that, because I had a couple guys explain it to me, and I just say, don't even worry about it. I don't want to hear it. Because let's say if you're giving me 20% for my hearing, 50% for PTSD, that's 70%. Well, what happened to my gunshot wound? Don't count? No, we do it differently, da-da-da. Well, I said, well, hell, 10 on the 70 is 80. I mean, you were giving me 10%. I was getting $101 a month up until year 2000. $101 a month for getting shot. I think when I started out, it was like 18 bucks a month. Yeah. And that, it was $18. Well, back then it was a help. But
we're just about to the end here, Lawrence. I've got to ask you a couple more questions.
Sure, go ahead, no problem.
Have you ever been back to the Vietnam Wall in Washington?
Yes, I have.
Tell me the first time you went there, why, and what you felt.
Well, I went because it was a couple of guys that I spoke about here. I knew their names were there, and that's when it hit home that, these were good buddies of yours, and just to know how they died. And that's basically the reason I wanted to see for myself. I heard about it. We had a family reunion in that area. It's been about 4 years now. And I said, told my wife, I said, let's we'll go up a few days early and we'll spend a couple of days in Washington. So I had a chance to go there, and I looked up a couple of the guys. Two of the guys I couldn't remember until I just did this report here back in June. But it was an eerie feeling, knowing that you were there with them, and you were there at that moment when they lost their life, and it's something you never forget. You can close your eyes all you want to. You can try to close your mind from it, but it never will go away. And you'll have a tendency, you will cry about it. And again, like I said, the guilt factor of knowing that they were there and they did something to help save me, or they saved my life, basically. I have to look at it that way. There's no other way that I can look at it. If he wasn't there, I would have been there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Tell me what the American flag means and represents to you as a veteran.
What does it mean as a what?
What does the American flag mean to you? What does it represent to you as a veteran?
Okay, as a veteran, it means it's something that you should honor and respect. Okay, whether I was a veteran or not, it would be the same feeling. It's something that we fought for. We on Hiroshima or wherever, when we put it up, that's something that anyone should respect. What happened now is that we lost respect of the old, putting the old flag up in the morning at school and going back out at 2:30 and watch it come down and fold it up, and the respect, if you had a chance, never to let it get wet, never let it hit the ground. And it meant a hell of a lot to me just growing up as a kid, because that's the schooling I had back then. Yeah, now I figure it means a hell of a lot more for me because I fought for that. I fought for our freedom as a country. If I was in Iraq right now, I'd have to say I'm fighting for this country because, yeah, those people eventually are going to get over here again. We know it. It's just a matter of time. And they can do anything they want to. And you probably have 20% already here, just waiting for any given day. But I love the American flag. I love my country. And if I had to do it again, I'd do it again. Okay?
Are you proud that you're a Vietnam veteran?
Yes. Yeah.
Have people thanked you for your service to your country?
Very few. Very few. There is I don't know if I had a chance to mention to you the other day, I was going to do this, not before I talked to you, but it was on my mind. Forgive me, my posture, I get comfortable. There's a church, it's First Baptist Church of Fort Lauderdale, which is right on Broward Boulevard, downtown. They had a welcome home celebration for the vets. And it was the most touching thing I've ever been to. And I was going to go down there one day. And it just popped in my mind over the last couple of months. I wanted to get the video. Hopefully they have a video of it. And just to take it to some of the other churches to say, hey, look, welcome these guys back home, They had officers there from the military, and it was really something it made your heart. I mean, it's like, hey, I did fight for something, I did fight for someone.
You better believe it.
Yeah, but no, very few will even say welcome home. I met a couple of guys the other day at one of the hotels over here, and we just started talking. They were from Alaska, and both of them were vets. One was Vietnam vet, I think one was an officer, but he flew more of the commercial type flights over there, but very nice guys. And his wife came over and gave me a hug and says, thank you. And that's what you were missing, or were missing from the whole equation. Most of the cities, and I went to one, a Vietnam Day celebration. And normally I don't go, okay? Out of my 30-some years of working, for some reason I'd always look up and the day is there and I didn't go. Well, I went to one a couple years back, and here's the politicians, they're doing their pitches, da-da-da-da-da. But not one of those politicians says, can all the vets stand up? I mean, a simple thing is, can we recognize them? Will all the vets in the audience stand up? Eh? So guess what? Why go? Yeah. You didn't do it for me. You're doing this for political reasons. That's all it was. Yeah. You know, it's a political show. Here I am, we're talking about something else. Hey, it's supposed to be Veterans Day. Okay? We have to, as a country, I think you should put more emphasis on it. You know, I think businesses should literally just close. No ifs, ands, or buts. You know, well, if you like to, you can close the damn country and let the day means what it should be, Veterans Day. And like you said, the World War II guys, they're going at a rate of how many per day? You're going to get buried, won't be that many stories left. And you got to go to the VA clinic and you'll see. I mean, the older guys over there, and I also have a problem with the clinics. I don't think they maintain them well. I just, you know, when they had I think they were subcontracting work out to for an eye doctor. But the damn place they sent you to was like a hole in the wall.
Yeah. Let's do one more thing and then we're going to be done, but I want to get your picture scanned here. But
okay.
From where you're seated, when I tell you to, could you give me a salute into the camera?
Sure.
When I tell you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay, Lawrence, go ahead.
Salute you.